in the beginning, they come off as charming and kind and attractive and attentive. Basically, everything you think you want in a partner. They make you feel like you've met someone who finally understands you on a deep level, and that's where the manipulation starts. Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. So today we're diving into a subject that a lot of people do talk about, but I feel like you can never talk about this enough, and that's manipulation in dating. So whether it's a narcissist, someone playing mind games, or just straight up manipulation, it's so important to recognize these behaviors early on before you get too emotionally invested. So in this video, I'll share not only the red flags to watch out for, but I'll also take some insights from a book I read about 6 months ago called The Last Girl Ghosted. So this book really captures what it's like when someone you think you can trust ends up manipulating your emotions and vulnerabilities. So we're going to unpack that and connect it to real life dating situations that I believe way too many of us have experienced. So let's get into it. Okay, so first off, let's talk about what makes manipulation tricky. So a lot of times we think manipulation has to be something big or obvious, like someone lying or cheating. But often it's way more subtle than that. So it can be psychological, emotional, things that are harder to detect right away. So a manipulator will play on your emotions, often making you feel like you're in the wrong even when you're not. So they create confusion. They're leaving you questioning your own instincts and decisions. So what makes it tricky is that in the beginning, they come off as charming and kind and attractive and attentive. Basically, everything you think you want in a partner. They make you feel like you've met someone who finally understands you on a deep level, and that's where the manipulation starts. So they gain your trust by making you believe they care deeply about you. But over time, their true intentions start to come to the surface. And that's why it's so important, especially on first dates, to be very careful about how much information you provide. If a guy asks you what happened in your last relationship, keep it very brief. This is one thing I had to learn because, like most of you ladies, you just want to be all the way straightforward, all the way honest, but you just got to be careful with how you move and how much information you provide because you still don't know. You have no idea. Just like he doesn't know you, you don't know him. So you have to move very carefully. Don't go into too much detail. And that's not lying. It's just keeping some information to yourself until you've learned more about this person and you feel comfortable enough instinctively to share more if it gets to that level. The reason for this is that manipulators will use what you're used to against you. So if you're used to being disrespected, abused, or cheated on in the past in your relationships, that guy will present himself as everything you've never had. And a lot of times we women, we love to use the phrase, he's different. We feel like we've struck gold because he's showing us everything we've never experienced before. But the reality is he's forming his image based on what you've told him. He knows how to act different because you've given him the blueprint for what you've lacked in your past relationships. So let's break this down a bit more. Manipulation, especially in dating, is all about subtle control. It's about twisting situations to make you feel confused, making you question your own instincts. And manipulators do this because they want that control. They want the control over your emotions, your choices, and even how you see yourself. So they might start by doing all the right things, being attentive and kind and emotionally available. But as time goes on, you start to notice the inconsistencies. So you might feel like something's off, but because they've already won your trust, you ignore those feelings, or worse, you blame yourself. Now, this is where it gets tricky. So manipulators often don't come across as bad people at first. In fact, they often present themselves to be everything you've ever wanted in a partner. They might seem like a breath of fresh air compared to your ex, and that's intentional. They're shaping themselves to be exactly what you've been missing. And this is why you need to be extremely careful about how much you share on those early dates. The more you tell them about your past, the more information you give to them to mold themselves into your ideal partner. Instead of being upfront about all of your past pain, try to hold back some of those details. You don't need to spill everything about why your last relationship ended or how your ex treated you. Keep it brief, keep it real brief, and just keep it surface level, and only open up more as you get to know this person and you feel comfortable. This gives you time to see who they really are before they have the chance to use your vulnerabilities against you. All right, let's dive into narcissistic manipulation, because this is something a lot of women don't even realize they're dealing with until it's too late. Narcissists are masters of manipulation, and the first thing they do is love bomb you. So this means they will overwhelm you with affection and gifts and attention, making you feel like you're the center of their world. It feels amazing at first, because who doesn't want to feel adored, right? But here's the thing. That level of attention so early on is not normal or sustainable. A narcissist's goal is to hook you quickly. They create the perfect image of the relationship, and once you're emotionally invested, that's when they start to pull back. So you might notice that they're not as attentive as they were in the beginning, or they start gaslighting you. They're making you question things that happened on your own feelings. So for example, you might call them out on something, and instead of taking accountability, they flip the script and make it seem like you're the one with the issue. So over time, this creates a cycle of emotional instability where you're constantly trying to get back to that honeymoon phase. And here's the thing, because they've already mirrored what you told them you wanted, you keep trying to recapture that early connection. They manipulate you into believing that the problem lies with you, or that if you just did something differently, if you were somebody else, things would go back to the way they were in the beginning, but they never do. And this is where manipulators, especially narcissists, really know how to work the system. So they're experts at finding and targeting your vulnerabilities. So if you think you might be interested in reading this book, if I were you, I would skip past this part. It might be a bit of a spoiler. I'll put the chapters down below so you'll know if you want to skip this part. But if not, I'm going to go ahead and just tell y'all a little bit basically of what this is about. So in The Last Girl Ghosted, we see how Adam, who is the love interest of the main character, Ren, he does this with precision. So he listens closely when Ren talks about her childhood traumas and her past relationships and the struggles she's faced. And because Ren feels like this is an instant connection with him, she lets her guard down, like many of us would when someone seems genuinely interested and caring. But here's where things take a darker turn. So Adam, he doesn't just listen to be supportive, he listens with the intention of using that information against her. So he purposely sets out to manipulate women. He's preying on their vulnerabilities. So this is something we see so often in real life, where some men who use emotional manipulation as a tactic to control women. And Adam, he isn't some guy who just stumbles into relationships with people like Ren. Everything he does is intentional, it's strategic, it's calculated to make her trust him and become emotionally dependent on him. And Adam, like many manipulators, he is skilled at making women feel like they found the one. So he plays the part of the perfect partner because he's gathered enough information to reflect back exactly what Ren is craving. So whether it's emotionally available, kind, or attentive, he molds himself into the ideal man based on what Ren and all the other women before her have told him they've been missing. So he does this on purpose. This is not by accident or chance. Adam sets out to manipulate Ren from the very beginning, and he's done this to other women many times before. So his behavior is a part of a pattern, and it's important to note that manipulators like Adam, they will often have a history of doing this to multiple women. They use their charm and their good looks and their emotional manipulation to get what they want from you without any regard for how it makes you feel and how it leaves you emotionally damaged after they're good and gone. So that's how manipulation plays out in dating, especially if you have been dealing with a narcissist or an emotionally manipulative person. It's easy to fall into these traps, especially when you're craving the connection. And this is something too that y'all really, really have to be so careful on, because it's through the way you talk, the way you carry yourself, the way you walk. Like it's so easy to kind of spot those types of insecurities, and they prey on women like you, especially younger women who are very green and naive to a whole lot of stuff. And I know this sounds cliche, but this is exactly why it's so important to work on yourself, your self-esteem. There are certain things that people who are very manipulative manipulative can spot in you. And this is why it's so important to take out time for yourself. Don't be in such a hurry and in such a rush and in such a cry for desperation to be with somebody. You have to look at these parts of you. You have to take self-analyzation and look at those things about you that can give off lots of insecurities, those things that people like this prey on. Being aware of these signs can help you protect yourself. So whether it's love bombing, gaslighting, or just targeting your vulnerabilities, you have to stay mindful of how someone makes you feel, and more importantly, how quickly they're trying to win you over and to win your trust. Just like in The Last Girl Ghosted, we can see how dangerous it could be when someone plays on your emotions and builds a false connection and a false sense of security with you. So don't let someone use your past against you. Take your time, trust your gut, and if something feels off, for the love of God, do not be afraid to walk away. We're going to continue to dig further into this. No worries. We got plenty of videos coming after this. I know I do still have difference of opinions, and ironically, those difference of opinions usually come from some of the guys. Not all of the guys. I actually am getting some support from you guys who know that a lot of things that I'm saying are truth. And I imagine that some of y'all probably have daughters that y'all care about, nieces that you love, and cousins and sisters. A lot of these things are truth. It's manipulation. And if you can protect people that you love, tell them as much as you can. I see nothing wrong with that. I do speak from experience. Yes, I have gone through some things, obviously, which is why I'm able to talk like this. For me to have gone through some of the things that I've gone through, I never want to watch people that, not just people that I love and know personally, but just y'all, females and guys in general, you don't have to go through the fire to know that it burns. If you've seen how a situation can really tear somebody down all based off of just who you select and who you associate with, why wouldn't you want to help the next person if you can? Let me know what y'all think about the topic below. Stay tuned. We got more coming. Love y'all and see you in the next one. Bye.